Good evening. Our arrowhead hunting season is pretty much over. We're starting to do a little fossil hunting now, but I'm going to get back to my point of the story. This point here and the next 4 more that I'm going to show are all from one plowed field in North Alabama. It's in Limestone County. At this point here, I really don't know what to call it. It's an extremely nice point, extremely well made. It's got very heavy grinding on the base, and you can actually see how smooth it is. It may be a worked down Lost Lake. I don't really know for sure. Got some beautiful flaking. It's beveled, slightly beveled, not a whole lot. I think it's Fort Payne Chert. But the day I found this point, I found about 30 points that day. This was one of the better ones. It's a beautiful piece of stone. But this is the point, and that was the story. Alright. This is a pine tree from the same site. It is come from part of the field I never really found much in. The day that I found it, there were 3 of us, and we were walking out to the field, and we were going down through a low muddy area and coming up a bank, and I found another pine tree, which I tried to find this evening, but I could not lay my hands on it. But it was banged up. It was missing a tip, missing an ear, missing part of the base. And I picked that point up, and I said, man, that would have been a beauty. I wish I could find a whole one just like it. And I didn't get them words out of my mouth, and this was laying there flat out on top of the ground. And I always like to leave a little bit of the dirt on mine if I can. I love those little teeth on that thing. That's a toothy little sucker right there. Beautiful early archaic flaking. Very thin. There's the keel shot for you boys over there at Pine Belt Relics. But that's the point. And that was the story. A wonderful piece of flint. Okay, the next 2 are points of the story. We'll start with this one. This big sandy. I call it a little big sandy. It's a little one compared to the other one. But I got to the field one morning very early, before daylight, and I thought I would walk out to the back side of the field where we found most of the artifacts, which were usually middle archaic and woodland stuff. And I had just walked down the bank from the road where I was parked and had gotten into the field. I'd probably gone 50, 60 feet. I say it was still dark, and I looked down and I saw this thing leaning up against the dirt clod. It was leaning up right like that, and I could see most of it. There's a little bit of the base covered, but I seen that and I was like, and I'm going out to the back of the field for what? So I took it back to the truck and hung out there for a minute, waited on daylight, and I walked all over the place and finding another not even hardly another piece of flint where this came from. But I thought that was the most beautiful big sandy that I had ever seen. Well, about 2 years later, same part of the field, I'm there with a friend of mine, and we're walking. And from that point on, I would always go to that part of the field and look. Look at this here. I think these guys were made by the same man, because they came within 10 feet of each other. I think that's probably the most beautiful big sandy I've ever seen in my life. Then I decided not to do these on the rock I usually do my points on. I just couldn't bring myself to do that. But there's your kill shot. Shows signs of maybe a little resharpening. But I think that is one heck of a big sandy. But those 2 points, like I said, they were found 2 years apart in the same field, within probably 15 or 20 feet of each other. So that is the points of that story. And this point here was the first really nice early archaic point I found. Me and my cousin, it's all, like I said, all this stuff is from the same field. But me and my cousin were there. He was about 13, 14 years old. And I had done found a beautiful Pickwick that day. I may do a point of the story with it at some point. There we go. But this thing here, I think, is one beautiful lost lake. That's the point I use on the top corner of my channel. That's always been my favorite point. It's got those parallel oblique flakes coming down each side of the blade where they resharpened it. Some beautiful flaking. Got the little bullseye in it on that side, up there. That there engine knew what he was doing when he made that point. But it's been resharpened. I mean, it's got a weak ear over here on this side. This thing could have been a couple of inches longer in its first stage. But of all my arrowheads, this ranks up there among my favorite. That's the point, and that was the story. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'll get back with you soon with some more. Alabama Headhunter out.